Okay, let's begin. Stop laughing at me.
You know what? Beginning with laughter, I think, is a good place. So why don't you introduce us here, Julia?
Okay, Shauna, welcome, officially welcome to the Love Pod. It feels so special to have you as our guest today. The stars have aligned because we've been trying to work out this episode for days now, and it wasn't meant to be until now. So grateful to have you here as our guest, someone who truly embodies the essence of love and leadership that this space was created for. And I know this will be a beautiful conversation between the three of us about remembering who we are and how we bring that love into our work, our relationships, and our collective impact and purpose in this world. Um, do you want to add anything?
I mean, I just had the wonderful opportunity of having a meaningful conversation with you, and I just so appreciate who you are, Shauna. So we're really excited to have you here. So welcome.
I cannot thank you enough. I'm so grateful. Thank you for your patience as well. For everybody that's watching, we really did have some struggles and challenges to get all three of us on at one time. And I think that it's perfect. It's going to unfold even better. That's what I'm declaring and intending than it otherwise would have, because that's just what's going to happen.
Totally.
Yeah.
I want to do the icebreaker here by asking you. So you named this episode "Why Love is the Key to All Doors." Why did you choose
Mm.
this name? Why did you choose this title?
I didn't even remember doing that. So it's perfect. Um, because I can experientially say that that is true.
Hmm.
When I came to know in my own journey that love is the answer to every question and that it is the most powerful force in the universe and that it is what we are made of. I know this beyond a doubt. I have kind of been a test subject for it in my own
Hmm.
life and brought it to various places, including the world of commerce and business, where, you know, that's not really something that's talked about, but it is now. And every time I consciously kept my heart open and remained in a space of love, not just intellectually, but being that, oh, I'm getting shivers all over my body. The way that things unfolded has always been, it just feels divine, like divine unfolding. Doors open that just never would have with logic or reason,
Hmm.
that you could have never with your intellect called or anticipated. But when you're just showing up in so much love, it changes everything. And so that is why I know it's the key to every door. And it even shows you doors that you didn't even know were there
Hmm.
or wouldn't have otherwise been there.
Yeah. I know in our conversation, you talked quite a bit about that embodiment experience and how that really shifted yourself and how important that is, especially in, the business world. There obviously, there's so many people, important missions, but it's easy to get lost in, the hustle of entrepreneurship. And you found a totally different perspective in that, and you've been able to help and serve a lot of people. Do you want to kind of share a little bit about your journey and what brought you to this place?
I would love to. And I'm so grateful again to be a guest on your podcast because I love what you guys are up to. It's so beautiful. Even calling it, the Love Pod or you have Light Heart Vision. I feel like a few years ago, maybe those of us who were in this awakening to the importance of love in the world, when if we were speaking it, the world might not have been ready for it. I will get to your question, but I'm just honoring what you're up to as well because just the fact that we're doing this and there is so much of this being talked about, it shows me that the world is ready and there are millions and millions of people who are ready for this. And to answer your question, I know I'm sure you do as well. Like any entrepreneur or someone who has been climbing the corporate ladder, going on a personal development journey, shall we say, you start learning how to hustle and grind and crush it and kill it. And I was in that mentality myself. I wanted to be successful as defined by that sort of success paradigm, which is like just really exhausting and draining, and you push yourself no matter how you're feeling, and you don't actually access your feelings. And I was there for a very long time, to the point of utter exhaustion.
Mm.
And I mean, it's such a almost a cliche of a story now, which is why I know this is part of my purpose, because so many people are feeling this now. So I had all the accolades, I had the prizes and the trophies and all the things from being in corporate and top producer this, and you know I was exhausting myself working in two different cities. I was sharing with Nathaniel offline the other day. I would literally work in one city all day and then fly on a red eye countless times, like several times a month, to another city across the continent, and then work all day there. And my clients would never know how exhausted I was. I was a top producer in sales in that particular case in two cities. And so, yay, I got all of these awards and my clients were really happy. But what price did I pay for that?
Mm.
I was exhausted. I was working with people with no discretion, because when you're in that crush it mentality, you will take any business you can get
Mm.
just to be on top, right? Just to have somebody reward you for all the work that you are doing. It isn't even about the money a lot of the time, I think, for people who are in that kill it mentality. And I shudder when I think about that now. I'm so glad I'm not doing that anymore, because
Mm.
it has to fall. Like
Mm.
the old ways of us doing things are not bringing us into connection with our hearts and who we really are, and our real inner powers that are so gorgeous, and
Mm.
our purpose. And it's just so many people are waking up to that now.
Mhm.
And I woke up to that, and I went on my own journey, which a lot of people do. I feel like I'm talking a lot, but it is what it is.
No,
Please.
please continue. Yeah. It's a very
I
important conversation.
stopped. It is. And I just came to a screeching halt one day, and it was just enough. Like, I'm going to kill myself working this hard.
Mm.
And so I took what started as a personal development journey, and hundreds of thousands of dollars spent, every mentor, every seminar, everything I could do, and I started evolving that into, what is my soul really asking for here? What am I striving for? What is real? What is true? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Because I wasn't happy. And again, that's part of that cliche of
Mm.
a story, right?
Mm.
It's so common. Entrepreneurs, CEOs, C-suite people, they're grinding it out year after year, and they end up at the end of their lives, or, decades into their careers, asking themselves, what the heck am I doing here?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, why do I feel so empty? I didn't feel empty. I felt like this deep existential angst, like I was doing the wrong thing. Like,
Mm.
why can't I find the answers to what I'm really here for? So I did that. I went on a journey that turned from personal development into spiritual journey, like
Mm.
exploring meditation and all the things that we do when we're on a spiritual awakening journey, which so many people are experiencing now.
Mm.
And I mean, I went to silent meditation retreats. I learned how to meditate for hours. Went and lived on the land in different places, and just completely went away from
Mm.
that corporate world. I heard a saying once that said, sometimes you have to leave the community to go and get the medicine
Mm.
and
Mm.
integrate it and bring it, woo, that gives me shivers too, and bring it back to the community.
Yeah.
And now I recognize, because I've been in corporate and because I have been in sales, and I know how to have those business conversations with investors, with clients, with team leaders, with C-suite executives, that love that I found, that truth, that spirit, that soul, that heart, the desire for impact and service that we have when we connect with that, there is a disconnect between the world of business and
Mm.
that. And I'm here to help build that bridge even as I walk it. And that's where I've been. And that's where I'm going, is to help us integrate
Mm.
that with that, if that makes sense.
Totally. So
Wow.
important.
Well, sounds like you're bringing the medicine back to the community.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I believe that, every soul gives itself the exact experiences that we need in order to remember who we are and awaken and evolve in the ways that we choose. And so it sounds like you've given yourselves these experience. And what's so beautiful about it now is that you are not only waking up, but you are also able to, you know, connect with these people because you've been in their shoes.
Mm.
And so you can have the compassion, you can have the understanding and be able to connect with them. And I believe that's why we're all here is to, inspire others through our own purpose and awakening so that they can realign with their purpose as well, because we all have one.
Yeah, totally. Maybe you could share a little bit about the impacts you're able to have by embodying that presence of love. Like Julia says, like you know these people's pains and you probably know their longing and their angst as well. So what are some like powerful examples of ways that you've seen this transformative work unfolding?
Ooh, I mean, there's so many ways we could take this. And I love what you said, Julia, about that us being that and living into that is the inspiration for others to do the same. I know that that's true for me. And I was sharing with Nathaniel the other day about how someone once said to me, Shauna, you need to pick a path. You need to choose the sharks or the rainforest or, whatever it is that calls to your heart to step up in terms of a cause. And I that's just not what I'm here for. I'm here for all the paths. I'm here to be the heart that lights up other hearts and reminds people who they really are. And I've come to know this, and I think we need to know what our gifts are and
Mm.
what our purpose is, and not, I've said this elsewhere, but it's almost like there's no more time for us to be aw shucks about our gifts.
Hmm.
Like now is that time. And as we were touching on earlier, people were not ready for these voices before, but now they are, and they're hungering for it and they want
Mm.
to know what their purpose is. And if we're here speaking to it, it does ignite and fan that little spark that's in everybody's heart. And then they start to believe that they can make a difference too.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, I don't even think that I answered your question.
No,
You
I think you absolutely did. Yeah, I
you
think
made me emotional though,
yeah.
whatever you were
Yeah.
saying.
Well, and yet you
Oh,
do have that gift, Shauna. Like, and I think that's that ignition that you have, that you're recognizing that we ignite one another, and that is so important. Like, this is not a
mhm.
time where we don't need another Jesus Christ on the planet. We don't need just one singular, illuminated being. We're holding hands and rising in consciousness
Yes.
together, and it's by igniting our gifts, seeing one another, hearing one another. That's so impactful.
Whew.
So I see that you're doing that with Julie right now. So I
Well,
honor that gift.
what's also beautiful is a person could think, well, if they're doing it, why should I do it? It's already being done. But the most interesting thing is not one of our gifts is the exact same. Like we each came here with such a unique and special gift, and they came here to be lived, shined, embodied, and shared with everyone in this world. So the more that we can be courageous and step up, the more that we can inspire others. And it's not an easy path to say. What I loved about you sharing, Shauna, is that it's not just one path. It's like every path. There's not
Yeah.
one right way to enlightenment.
Hmm.
Like there's so many different ways, and whatever way we choose is perfect and divine for us. But the thing is, like we all came here with a beautiful, unique gift and soul purpose. And there's a little bit of a forgetting process, I believe, coming into these human
Yeah.
bodies, but it doesn't mean that it's outside of us. So I think what's so beautiful about your journey is that you gave yourself all these experiences that led you within, and then you realize like that's where the key was inside your heart.
Yeah.
You went in, and I can relate because I've been through that as well. I'm
Of
not going to talk about
course.
me here, but I relate
I
and
would
I
love to
honor.
hear anything you want to
Please
share. Like
do.
this is a
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
No,
meant
but
to
it's more
have our
you.
hearts
We want to
open
hear
and
you.
touch whoever it wants to touch. I would love to hear about it
Hmm.
if
Well,
you're
let me
open.
let me try to put it in a nutshell. So,
Okay.
yeah, oh my gosh, I grew up to with this like perfectionist mindset, thinking
Mm.
that I needed to do everything right and please those around me. And I had two brothers who were kind of the opposite of my character and a little bit more on the rebellious side. So I was always striving for success as well in my studies and university and whatnot. And then as soon as I graduated, I like leapt into this like career at 22 years old and surrounded myself in an office with like older adults who had families and children. And I was 22 and I was like, this is great. I've succeeded, but like, I'm not happy. What am I doing here? I feel like I've barely
Mm.
lived my life, you know? And so that led me to moving to another continent and trying something that I was actually interested in. And that was teaching and studying salsa dancing. And
Ooh.
it made me realize
She's an
like
amazing
how
dancer.
many things I took for granted back here in Canada.
Mm.
And not having that contrast, I probably would have never realized that. You know, I was very
Wow.
privileged growing up, and I thought it would have probably been easy to just move to Italy, and here we are. But it was like the hardest experience ever. But I have so much gratitude for it. And I just like since a little girl, always knew I needed to move to Italy. Every time I vacationed there, I'm like, I'm gonna
Wow.
live here one day. I'm gonna love it. And then when I finally moved there, I'm like, what am I doing? I didn't speak the language. I didn't have a
Woo.
job. I didn't have an apartment. I barely had friends and like I didn't know where to live. But you know what? I trusted. And that's the biggest thing. I leapt into the unknown. My soul knew I needed to go, and everything worked out for the better. And it's funny because it always works out even better than we imagine
Yeah.
or than we expect, you
Yeah.
know?
This is how I know this is my divine mirror because I have had similar jumps into the unknown. And I love that about Julia that she just went and lived in another country with like no plan and not speaking the
Amazing.
language. And she came up, she speaks fluently to our daughter in Italian now. And she has so much richness of character and she's really has
Mm.
this expansive culture about her because she has
Mm.
these experiences. So yeah,
Yeah.
I honor that about you.
Well, then it led me to
Mm.
living in another continent because then I was living in Australia for another year. And, you know, I did this traveling through Southeast Asia. And, but the thing is that I'm going to say where my kind of quarter life crisis happened is coming back to Canada and feeling like I wasn't ready and not by choice, but mainly with a broken heart. And so for me,
Mm.
I was like, what just happened? Like it was a one-sided kind of thing. And I didn't really want that relationship to end. But a big question came up for me, and that was my self-worth. And I realized that I was looking for love outside of me. So
Yes.
I tried all these things. I tried dating and filling that hole, and I was going on a date like every day or so. Like it was online dating at the time, and I was just doing all these things. I was going out salsa dancing, late nights, this and that, and like nothing was filling me up. And I
Of
was like, I
course.
need to stop looking on the outside. Like I think I'm gonna go in for once. And like you, I found meditation and I started asking these questions. I started being with myself, like learning to actually be with myself despite the
Hmm.
busyness in my mind and just like listening to, the trees and nature and like
Hmm.
having gratitude for the sun on my skin and feeling the warmth.
Hmm.
And then everything kind of just fell into place. And like I was also questioning my life purpose. Like I was like, I know I came here for something very important. And I know that if it's not making me jump out of bed in the morning, then it's probably not it. So all these questions started coming about. I also spent thousands and thousands of dollars on like, alternative, healings and
Yeah.
modalities. And I also came to the next conclusion that the healing doesn't happen outside of myself, but it made me
Ah.
wiser.
No, it's okay because it's all part of our journey. And if you two are anything like I am, and I suspect you are, we bring that in and we weave it into what we share now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
all of those modalities, everything we studied, whether it's, science or quantum physics, or spirituality or everything that we have learned, like for
Hmm.
me, it feels like a library and I
Hmm.
can draw upon it because I'm a synthesizer. I can get the gist of
Yeah.
something and then have those tools to draw upon with whoever's in front of me. And I just know, I can tell you guys are the same way.
Especially Nathaniel. He's very good at like retaining information, articulating it in a very concise way.
Yeah, I think that is one of my gifts. And I think it's interesting you use that term synthesizer. I think that's probably one
Mm.
of the most valuable services to humanity these times because,
Mm.
we're leaving the age of information and that hustling kind of mentality of like whatever it takes, dog eat dog, and all this like
Yeah.
baloney that's part of, a sick culture that's never satisfied with having what we have. I mean, part of what inspired me because I have not traveled the world like Julia, and she's been in Southeast Asia, talking about seeing children there who have like nothing, but they're just
Yeah.
so filled with joy, and because I
Yes.
believe that's our natural state. But
I've said that too. Joy is our natural state. It's life force coursing through us. It's just been
absolutely,
buried.
absolutely.
Suppressed,
And
yeah.
here in the
Yeah.
West, I think the West has a role uh in I think in different kinds of leadership. Every culture, I mean, from my medicine wheel teachings that I draw upon a lot, that interconnection of everything. Each direction has a particular value that they add. So I think your work is incredibly important because in the West, there is such this secular focus and like we don't talk about feelings and we don't talk about spirit. And I know I've been in uncomfortable positions like in education where I've brought up some of my spiritual experiences
Yeah.
and it's landed me in hot water, but I
Yes.
follow my compulsion. My heart says you have to say this. Like it's someone in the audience needs to hear it, even though if it's going to be, have a negative
Consequences.
consequence for me. So I think this is so important. So what's your mission, Shauna? Like how are you implementing this? How like yeah, let's hear about where you're at.
Well, what's so amazing is I'm going to have to really rein it in and focus on answering your question because I just want to everything you said, both of you is so beautiful and, just the travel that opens up your recognition of how blessed we are here in the West. I've had a lot of that too. And I once thought, and I still do actually, so first of all, we're redefining things in this co-creation of the world the way we want to see it, right?
Mhm.
We're redefining what love means because it's not just sacrifice and martyrdom and people pleasing and all the weird sticky ways that it has been shown to us, and we're redefining leadership to include that alignment of love and
Mhm.
wisdom,
Mhm.
right? We're redefining so many things. And just I used to have this thought, I was just going to say that if all of our children in the West, it would take one generation if we could send all of those kids to a third world country and they could see the abject poverty that millions and millions of children live in. And I sent my daughter to Costa Rica because I like to put my money where my mouth is.
Mhm.
And I wanted her to see how lucky she is.
Mhm.
Not because of any spiteful, like you should be grateful, but more it will open your heart and it will open your mind. And maybe you will use the opportunities that we've been so blessed to have here
Mhm.
and fulfill a purpose and do something wonderful with your life. And she's amazing, but there is something eye-opening about travel that's so important. And so I just wanted to just pay homage to that and say thank
Mhm.
you for sharing that, Julia. And your question was, what is my mission and how do I fulfill it? Like, what am I up to? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah.
We know that you host the Leading with Love podcast, and I'm sure you're involved in other beautiful projects. So maybe you can just share a little bit like about what you're creating right now and what's the message you're sharing with the world.
Okay, beautiful. Well, I decided, so I think I mentioned that I used myself as a guinea pig when I came back from all of my travels and my depth of exploration into, there were plant medicine journeys that I both took and guardianed for and held sacred space for to really just, connect with our beautiful earth and my
Mhm.
own heart and spirit and the people that were there when I was guardianing. Forgive me, I'll get there.
Take your
The
time.
people that came to these retreats that when I was helping facilitate were the same kind of people that I had as clients in sales. So they were CEOs, executives,
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, company owners, and it was amazing because I got to see firsthand the depth of healing that they were willing to lean into, but then how challenging the integration is
Mhm.
coming back to the mainland, usually because usually like Costa Rica or Mexico or
Yeah.
Hawaii or, these journeys. And not always, but often people come back. It's just like, it's no different than going to a seminar for a weekend and you get that rah, rah motivation and you expand your version of who you think you are, your
Mhm.
vision. And then you come back to your dynamics of your relationships and your
Yeah.
work and who you're leading. And they see you as that old person
Yeah.
and it's awkward. And you spoke to that, Nathaniel, too. Like you can start speaking this new language, this knowing that you come back with, and people around you are like, "What the heck are you talking about? You're
Mhm.
being weird."
Mhm.
Right. And there can be consequences, as you said, to
Mhm.
that in the workplace. And so I chose to do that first
Mhm.
before I kind of brought it. I came back and I started only working with clients in the sales arena and corporate. I was training sales teams at that time and things like that. So it wasn't just me and my clients, it was like a lot of people. And I just chose to show up with love because I just knew then that there's nothing else that matters.
Mhm.
And what happened was this blossoming of relationships with people who were aligned and the falling away of those who were not. Like if I had a lead or a client or a team that just wanted that hustle and grind training or service, I just sent them to someone else.
Mm,
So that was me being a guinea pig in my own life. And I had
mm,
more success ultimately once I was able to integrate that heart and soul with the skills and the intellect and the things that were required in the business world. I was able to lock it in and then be someone that could be trusted
mm,
because they knew that I was being authentic. I was fully showing up as myself. I was loving them and I had their best interests at heart. There
mm,
was no question about it. So
mm,
then the clients that I had that were really resonant, like they're lifelong friends, they're family that I invite them to Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like these are people who really got that love matters. And that's what I was
mm,
showing up for with them in service
mm.
in the business world. And so that's the first part because I think it's really important and it's something that I am
Yeah.
up to is now with those trainings that I do and people that I work with in when I'm fully in purpose because I'm not doing the sales stuff anymore. It's I know like not everybody needs this work. Not everybody's ready for it yet. But those who have, right, woken up and experienced this knowing, but they don't know how to bring it back to their leadership. That's one of the things that I am up to is helping
Okay.
people, like people of influence, people who are running teams, running companies. Maybe they have a community organization that they're responsible for, and they're used to being very linear, and they want to be more in purpose and inspire and lead, but they need to integrate that into a way that it lands for the people that they are serving and leading.
Hmm. Well, I mean, there's so much there that we could discuss. I just want to chime in. I know Julia probably wants to dive in here too, but I just want to comment that that is such a beautiful way of influencing and being a power, like literally infusing companies that need that power of love because it's going to help them reach another level. You know, as we go into a new era, I've thought to myself, like, well, I mean, if people still want to drink something like Coca-Cola, couldn't we have like the most nutritious thing in the world
Oh,
that is so infused with vitamins and minerals, but it tastes like that because that's what people want? Like, I mean, that's just an example of love
how
going,
interesting.
you know? There's a
Hmm.
multi-trillion dollar idea there.
Yeah, ding, 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 right there. Like there's so that's the thing is your creativity comes online, right? Like how can we co-create something better that actually people will be open to?
Yeah. And I just wanted to comment too, because something Julie and I have talked a lot about is the importance of bringing family and community into our business. Like, I think there's so much, talk of sacrifice and things like you just have to, like basically work 16 hours a day for, 10 years to get successful, you say. But I love how you've brought, you bridged those worlds of
Yes.
friendship and in a business model that we can all thrive and uplift one another in is so important, so important.
Hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, this is the thing is for those who are open, because there will be a lot of people in this life who just never will come to this, and that's okay. They're not our audience.
Yeah.
I'm not here to convince anyone, is how I put it. Like, we know there are people who are ready. There are so many men, especially, I mean, who have woken up and they've been climbing that corporate ladder or building that company, and they suddenly realize they have all these financial resources, and they're like, wait, what do I do with this? There must be
Yeah.
more. There must be impact. There must be legacy. Hearts are opening everywhere.
Mm,
And so for us to be here as conduits for that or guides or just like you said, bridges between these worlds is so needed and so beautiful and inspiring people to think that they can make a difference. You don't have to be a leader to have leadership in your life. Like you
mm,
said, our families, we're humans first. That's the thing. That's what's been missing,
hmm. Yeah.
right? The connection to who we are
Mm.
and to each other. When it
Yeah.
underpins our business dealings, it changes everything.
Yeah. And that's why connection is one of our core values. It's because it's like we are by nature connected creatures, but
Yes.
in a world where there's more ways than ever to connect, we find ourselves so disconnected at times.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it's a true service that you're really, what your mission is, Shauna. And for me, what resonated when you were speaking is when you were talking about like your personal experience and how you just were living from that place of
Mhm.
love and showing up from that embodied place. It actually reminded me of the heart of the book Living from the Heart.
Mhm.
I don't remember who it's by, but he just explains the practice of always coming back to the focus and the action of listening to your heartbeat and bringing that into all that you're doing. And you reminded me of that because basically when you live from that place, everything in your life becomes a mirror and reflects that back to you.
Yes, it does.
And it's
And
like
that's the
magic.
thing. Yeah, it is magic. And we are magic. And that's
Mhm.
one of the reminders is you guys, you're magic. Whoever's watching, you are made of magic and
Yeah.
love, and you're meant to connect. You're
Yeah.
meant to remember who you are. You're meant to
Yes.
connect back in with this earth. We're made of the same elements. And so, like you talked about, Daniel, I don't know where I got that from. Um, just being among trees. I just
Mhm.
posted something the other day about that. Like you can even just, you don't have to be in a forest,
Mhm.
even just a flower,
Mhm.
anything that
Mm.
has the vibration of nature,
Yeah.
especially in a city, like immediately will reflect to you what is true
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we are that. And the more we can remember that, the more we be the stewards that we came here to be naturally.
Yes. Absolutely.
I was just out with our daughter Luciana. Yesterday morning, it's Thanksgiving here in Canada, and Julia asked me to collect some leaves with her. And as I was
Hmm.
collecting leaves, I mean, I've always had that strong connection with nature, but in the busyness of like preparing all this stuff, I was helping her mother with preparing the feast and stuff. But in collecting leaves, I was looking at the colors and just the and
Ah.
remembering all the experiences that I've had and looking at the patterns in nature and just appreciating just the beauty just in a leaf, right? And I think
Hmm.
this is a great action that anyone can take listening to this is just for a moment go outside and enter that childlike mind, and just look at
Hmm.
something like you're looking at it for the first time, and there's so many ways you could say that, but just to appreciate that beauty, it does help you enter into another state of consciousness.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Truly. Awe, gratitude, magic, presence, all of that. It's available with every little square inch when we look for the beauty.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also living in that child state of wonder. I
Yeah.
just want to share an experience too, because as we're talking about this and this topic of love, it's like it always brings me back to Louise Hay. And I don't know why, but she's been
Oh,
a
she was so
spirit guide of
lovely.
one of mine and just appears to me and just reminds me these deep truths. And it's like, we are love. Like you said, Shauna, this is what we are. And to some people, they may not understand or they may not remember what that means. But yeah, I think a lot of us go through this forgetting process. And like Louise mentioned, it's like one of the biggest traumas that we all kind of carry, a lot of us carry, is that we believe we are not enough.
Mhm.
And it's a
Hmm.
deep limiting belief. It's not true. And I've gone through this
Correct.
personally in my own life, and I've had, experience too with plant medicines. And, I just remember like looking at myself in the mirror and looking in my eyes and just laughing at the fact that I thought I was not enough.
It's pretty amazing when
Just
you see it, isn't it? You're just like,
yeah, and
what? How
but
could I have
I
ever thought I
just
was
saw
anything
the
other than a
light.
miracle?
I saw the light in my eyes and they were shining back at me. And it's like, it's exciting,
Ah,
this process of remembering who we
yeah.
are. Because I remembered in that moment what I was and where I came from. And this question of purpose, in these recent years of my life, in that moment too, I remembered like my purpose is this awakening process, this remembrance of who I am. It's a journey and we do it in gradual steps. I think it's meant to be that way. Otherwise, the ego can be freaked out a bit. But, in
Yeah.
remembering that, I realized that it is my purpose to inspire others through my own awakening journey. And there's nothing I need to do to control or interfere with other journeys.
Mm.
It's just living that embodied, truth, and they will be inspired in their own timing. Yeah, I
That's a
just wanted to
big
share
one, isn't
that.
it? Is not realizing kind of that, like I said, we're not here to convince anyone.
Mhm.
Just by being that, hearts will be touched.
Mhm.
Just by you and how much you're embodying your own awakening. Because actually, I've come to see that not everyone is meant for that in this lifetime.
Mhm.
Everyone could and has a purpose, but I don't think that everyone is meant to wake up
Mhm.
or to have their hearts pierced and open in this lifetime. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, the people that you are meant to touch will be touched by your frequency, your energy, your passion, your aliveness, your speaking in your beautiful voice, especially what's amazing is in this world where AI, as we know, is so prevalent now, it's actually helping us recognize how precious our human voices are, our wisdom, our experience, and that's becoming more and more valuable, and we're knowing it, which is amazing. There was something else I wanted to reflect that you said, but I can't remember, so I'll just be quiet.
That's
I
okay.
have
It is a
something
fact.
to add to the expansiveness of this conversation, because one of the important things, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Shauna, but um, a lot of the foundational spiritual principles of Light Heart Vision is founded on the Christ letters. And in these letters, Christ talks about, how what he experienced in the desert, how he awoke into the truth of reality, basically perceived what our quantum science now says is true, that nothing is solid. And even beyond that, that everything is vibrating particles, and our strongly
Yes.
held intention of mind changes things, right? And so one of the important things, his temptations in the desert, where Julia mentioned the ego, and he
Mm-hmm.
talks clearly about what those were. The last one where he thought, I can take this new knowledge that I've had, that all this knowledge, and I can help everyone in the world. I can become very affluent, and I can, just basically, become the leader of the world. And what he was told by divine consciousness in these letters, he expresses this, is that it was not his it was not his purpose to undo the individuation process in others.
Mm.
And really, it was more like love is. It invites. It's
Mm-hmm.
we're always welcome to go there, but each of our souls chooses, and there's a wisdom inherent in that. So at whatever right time for us to unfold, like, is the right time. And because I think this is an important conversation. We're talking about plant medicines, and there is, I think, some unhealthy environments where people are, like, flocking to these retreats.
I
There's
agree.
and if the person can't hold that space, people are trying to kill their ego, or to trying to
It can be
speed up
traumatizing.
it
Yeah.
very, and
Yes.
it can very much do a lot of damage when we try to, like, to kill the ego, when really
Yep.
the ego has given us this amazing gift, that it's the guardian of our identity. It allows the
Mm.
individuation process to occur, and it needs to come online as an aligned vehicle to express that nature of
Yes.
love, right? And yeah, so I thought that's something that I haven't heard too many people talk about. That's a really important part of this conversation.
No, I love that. I love that so much because I think you and I talked about this too. It's like when this first started happening, I had this question, which is it's like kind of a cliche, but how do I have this 5D awareness was how I would have put it a couple of years ago or a few years ago, but live in the 3D world.
Hmm.
Like, how do I know that I'm everything and unity and the quantum field and love and consciousness, but then, like, be this individuated, like, I didn't know how to marry it.
Hmm.
Mm.
And it's really important. What you said is so
Yeah.
important. I totally agree because what's happened now is it's not even marrying it, it's just being the spirit embodied and
Mhm.
expressing it as only my blueprint can do. And yours
Hmm.
is yours, and yours is yours. And that's a gorgeous thing. And you're right, nobody's going to wake up before their time. And so it allows for this grace and compassion for everybody's unfolding. Like, who are we to say what someone else's unfolding is supposed to be?
Yeah.
If the soul did choose the journey for each of us, it just allows you to focus on your own unfolding and not
Hmm.
judge or be worried, to just see the humanity and the spirit in everybody and let them be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what love is, right? It's unconditional
That
love.
is what
Doesn't
and it
try to
is.
control, doesn't try to choose for others. It just allows and accepts, and it just is.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, and I think expanding on
Yeah.
that idea of its unconditionality is just, it's like, if you just see us all as infinite, eternal beings, then just like you said, just let everyone be. Like, we'll
Yeah.
find it out. We don't need to stress about it. In fact, that takes us away from that whole alignment and connection that
Yeah.
you're talking about,
With
anyways.
that said, it's like
Yeah.
it's not people's faults either when they grow up in with experiences that conditions them or gives
Sure.
them limiting beliefs, even if
Right.
that's the truth within them, I think it's hindered and it's suppressed and it's crying to come out, but at the same time, it's like they're not truly aligned, right? And so once they are, then that love will express itself
When
in the
they're
way that
ready.
yeah, exactly. But they gave
Yeah,
themselves those experiences.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
exactly.
I have
Yeah,
a question.
yeah. go ahead.
Yeah, just like speaking about like all this love and expressing like an embodiment and whatnot. So like if you could envision a world, and we talk about this all the time, Nathaniel, if you could envision, Shauna, a world that is truly led by love in our communities and our families and our systems, what might that world look like to you?
Well, there's a big question. Um, well, okay, I haven't spoken this in a long time, but imagine you are consciousness, just consciousness itself, or whether you want to call it the quantum field or God or the universe or whatever that might be, the all that is. And you're kind of bored. So you create worlds and you individuate yourself in order to play. Like it's a big game and like almost infinite creation where you are reflected back to yourself. Like it's almost like facets of a gem, right? But it's all just the one thing. But those little individuations, as you said, they go through a forgetting process, or else the game would be up,
Hmm.
right? The jig would be up because then we would just be unity and there would be no duality or any spectrum of experiences. We need this physical universe in order to play this game. And so I didn't know that I was going to answer in this way, but it's what's coming through. So on this planet, the way this planet is set up, it seems to have been a lot of separation, a lot of fighting, a lot of pain. And I imagine if enough of us wake up to who we really are, but without leaving the game by becoming just consciousness or just light, not going fully back to God's set space, if you will,
Hmm.
but we have that Christ consciousness or we have that remembrance of what we are. And yet we're still in this physical vessel and we can play consciously.
Hmm.
I imagine that if enough of us did that and recognized this absolutely stunning paradise that we've been given to play in, we would take care of it. And the earth would know that, and we would replenish our resources. We would not fight. And to me, that's taking it just back to neutral from
Mm.
kind of the really dark ages that we've been in as a species for a long time, even though there's so much enlightenment and there's so much technology and all these wonderful things where we're connected. We really need to wake up out of this collective, feels like a bit of a nightmare, even though there's so much gorgeousness. And that's just my perception at this moment. But imagine if everybody was playing consciously,
Hmm.
then our creativity would be unleashed.
Hmm.
Instead of us focusing our resources on separation, creating borders, fighting each other the way we've been trained to do, arguing our opinion and our perspective, we wouldn't be doing that anymore. So there would just be this connection in this community. I imagine that we would know that we're all brothers and sisters, we are all one, and that knowing would change everything. So the way we behave is we would never hurt each other because we know that I am you and you are me, the true meaning of namaste, right? And I just imagine what would be unleashed through us. And I don't know, but I like to think there are other planets where this is the case, where we have risen out of the heavier, denser frequencies and ways of being into being more light beings. And honestly, it's all us anyway, right? We're really going there. Like it's just us in different forms, right? So
Yep.
imagine a planet where they're all light beings because they know they're made of light, they know they're made of love. And what could that look like
Hmm.
when you have a playground like this and all that you have is connection and community and creativity? Like maybe that's what gets us to the stars
Hmm.
and to connect with each other in a bigger way in the cosmos.
That was so
Yeah,
beautifully
what a beautiful
answered.
answer. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know what to.
Okay.
Wow.
And I love how you said that's the baseline.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
totally. Totally.
yeah.
A couple things stood out for me. Like you mentioned creativity a bunch of times, and I truly believe that's why we're all here. We are creative beings. We are creating our
Mm.
direct experiences, whether consciously or not, and we are here to create our realities. Like, and the more better when we are doing it consciously, and then we're co-creating together, and then it's just like a big fun dance, doing art, and having
Exactly.
picnics, and and
Co-creation.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's truly a gift, but like we need to learn to harness it, right? And it's fun. It's
Yes.
meant to be fun. We have control over our lives, and
Mhm.
yeah, you said so many beautiful, ideas there, and I don't think they're just ideas. I think that's meant
Yeah,
how
it's
we're meant
truth.
to live as
Ooh.
well.
Yeah.
And one last thing I just want to say is when you were talking about the individuation aspects and us coming here, it hit home for me in the sense
Ah,
that it
give
brought
me
me back
shivers.
to the book Home with God by Neil
Oh
Donald
yeah.
Walsh.
It's a great one.
Have you read that
Oh,
book?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And yet
just,
all these ideas are coming to so many of us. I
Hmm.
just did an episode of my podcast about this where, there was a time when, say, call it a century ago, before we had the internet, you would have someone in Europe get an idea, a scientist, and someone in North America get an idea. It's because it was being downloaded, and
Hmm.
whoever caught it and did something,
Hmm.
like made it coalesce into physical reality, right?
Yeah.
But now, because we're connected,
Yeah.
so many people are speaking the same things. And one of you mentioned this. It's like, well, when you see somebody else speaking what's coming through you, you have imposter syndrome, or you think, oh, maybe nobody needs to hear it from me
Hmm.
because it's
Hmm.
already being done.
Hmm.
Or Neil Donald Walsh wrote this book about this, so I don't need to speak it. It's not true. It
Hmm.
just means that it's being spoken more and more. It's evidence for us of what is changing and evolving in us.
Hmm. Yeah,
and
It's
it's very,
different
evidence that
voices
it's
will reach
it's
different
time.
audience.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it's so important. One of the things that came to me like 10 years ago is even, it's very obvious that the word evolution has the word love in it backwards, and to me,
Ah.
evolution is love's solution. And I
Mhm.
think it's a really important that, you talk about that as a baseline. One of the things I love so much about the letters is he says that, when you transcend the ego and come into direct connection with who you are, that's when life truly begins. And he
Ah.
talks about some of the amazing abilities that we'll be able to,
Whew.
in ways we will be able to play that we haven't even imagined.
Yes,
So he says if beings believe strongly enough that they can fly, they will eventually grow things that are
exactly.
close to wings, like they will grow
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
wings, and they will be able to fly. So what's possible
Or
for
maybe
human
just get a little
beings?
bit of fairy dust.
There you go. And there's so many conversations I've heard, like transcendent conversations about, our physiology, and its ability to transcend, like and that's what I think this time is
Totally.
really interesting because we have the ability to articulate a lot of these ideas in a language that is, based in real science. That, things are being measured.
Yes.
Telomere growth.
Yes.
We're looking at changes in our brainwave patterns that we never thought were possible for human beings.
Yes.
All this, the heart math science, and it's really an
Yes.
exciting time to be alive, in so many ways.
Couldn't agree more.
It's so amazing. I mean, there have been intrepid souls, right? Like David Hawkins and Dr. Monroe for the Monroe Institute, like you said, the
Mhm.
Heart Math Institute, where we learn about heart brain coherence and the torus that we really are, and the energetic field that we have, and how it impacts everything, and how it is, when healthy, supposed to be exactly resonant with Earth's Schumann resonance. And, Dr. Monroe's work took us to a place where if you've heard of him, I don't know, but
Oh
Dr.
yeah, well
Robert Monroe is amazing.
we met the man who ran his
Ah, yay.
institutes when we were on Vancouver Island. We
Nice.
had
Very
a
interesting
lunch with him.
conversations with
He
him.
like died 3 times. He told us like all about his
Woo.
life. It was like the
Yeah.
most. What was I forget his name? It'll come to us. But yeah,
I think I know who you mean, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, yeah,
their work was all about
yeah.
reminding us that we are just energetic beings and none of this is real. And so we can learn to do, I think, anything. Like, I agree. I mean, we're really going there in this conversation and I love it because for those who are ready, I agree. I think that even if you read Autobiography of a Yogi, right, by
Hmm.
Yogananda, his guru came back to him after dying, and he learned how to levitate and do all of these things because all the limitations that we have been told we have aren't true.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we're like these baby musicians. Magicians is how I kind of put it sometimes on my podcast. Like, we're like little baby Harry Potters, and we're just learning that we have these magic powers.
Hmm.
We always had them, but we're waking up to them, despite, I think, systems that are trying to keep them suppressed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go there at all. But it's obvious, right? We live in a world that doesn't, let's just say, that doesn't honor or encourage or even teach us about the magic that we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when,
Totally.
as we're remembering, so many of us, and these conversations are helping others, like it just does. It's like popcorn. Then we have to learn to wield those powers. We have to learn what they are. We get to explore them. We have to learn to like play with them, or we get to.
Yeah.
We don't have to. We get to.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful when we do that, then we can help the future generations coming in. And that's why our work is so important. And that's why we also are learning and wanting to teach and share conscious parenting because, the
Mhm.
future leaders that are coming in, like imagine what place they would be in if we are not, conditioning them or suppressing or putting onto them where their gifts and their intuitive abilities can just be honored and acknowledged for what they are. We don't need to try and change them in any way, and we can just love them but guide them in a loving way where they can be who they came here to be in this world.
Mhm.
Imagine what a place we would be in, and
It's
that's
incredible.
absolutely our intention with our children and to help others
Yeah.
do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm reflecting so much, and it always comes back. Like I think the title of the episode that you chose, Shauna, is so perfect because that rootedness in being truly connected to the source that we all come from, that love, is the key. Because there are people who go and try to develop all these abilities, and I mean, from one extreme, you could look at it like a business person who's accumulating, magnetizing a lot of
Mm,
money. That's a certain ability,
right.
all the way to someone who can levitate or teleport or whatever crazy things we can imagine and achieve as
Yeah.
consciousness and but the importance of knowing that there is that mastermind that's love that grows every cell in our bodies that interconnects all of us, and knowing that that really is meant to drive all of us and pull us towards creating home. That's what this is all
That's your
about.
acronym. I love it. Remind us all what
It's
HELM stands
our
for.
acronym. It's our
Yes.
acronym. We everyone we share it with is we say, please use it. So much of the inspiration that's come for us, we know it's part of our collective unfolding. So it's heaven
Yes.
on Mother Earth, heaven on Mother Earth,
Yes.
and
Heaven on Mother Earth.
heaven is it's a simple childlike state of
Yeah.
knowing that all of this is love and being
Yeah.
perfectly
Mm.
aligned to that unconditional power that creates the cosmos, as you said earlier in the
And it's
conversation.
here and it's now.
It is. We're just remembering it. We've just forgotten, right? And oh gosh, that's so beautiful. I just love everything you said. We're already in heaven.
Mhm. Mhm.
Look at this beautiful playground that we have to
Yeah.
to explore. It's just, I mean, it brings me to tears a lot. I've only done actually 2 or 3 plant medicine journeys because I ended up really feeling in purpose being a guardian and holding
Mhm.
sacred space more so. But there was one time when I was in the middle of an ayahuasca journey in the middle of the jungle in Hawaii, on the island of Kauai, which to me is my heart's home.
Mm.
And I just remember falling to my knees and just saying, "This is the altar. Like this is the altar. There's no
Mhm.
buildings needed. There's no nothing." Although I will say, as a side note, we are redefining abundance as well as love,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
because we do get to have abundant resources, because in the hands and the hearts of people like us,
Mhm.
it's world changing energy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Right? Resources, because the world still does run on money. So when we have that, what I call new leadership, that alignment of wisdom and heart, like, and resources to do something with that and
Yeah.
have impact, it's amazing. I
Yeah.
can see it. I can see it.
It's such a paradigm change that we're going through. And it's so, I
Yeah.
mean, it's so wonderful, having your light in this space, Shauna.
Ah.
Something we don't acknowledge enough in our world is the importance of presence. And I think we don't think
Mm.
about it a lot because everywhere we go, there we are. So we don't necessarily know the
Yeah.
influence we're having when we walk in a room, and you have such a wonderful presence. And I just so appreciate you bringing this such an important conversation into this really practical place of thinking about the resources and the skill sets that are
Yeah.
required for really building pragmatic things. That's what entrepreneurs and business
Yeah.
people do. They're all about that
Yes.
pragmatic nature, right?
It's funny you mentioned presence and practical tools and pragmatic. Like I wanted to ask you a question, especially in the busyness and like challenges of everyday life. Like for you and this light that you in this presence that you have, Shauna, what helps you harness it, and what are some personal or like daily practices that help you stay aligned with your bigger message?
Oh, that's so beautiful. Um, well, I decided a long time ago, just like when one runs and they go with the just do it mantra, which we won't mention any companies, but you probably know what that is. Mine is heart open no matter what.
Mm,
And it's easy to be in love when everybody around you is puppies and rainbows and unicorns and butterflies.
mhm,
It's when we are tested that our truth needs to be stuck with and implemented. And those are those moments when I'm having difficulty having my heart feels like it's closing when things have made the most difference. So that is my first answer
mhm,
is that I will have my heart open no matter what. And I will show up as love with love no matter what. And that is not a wishy-washy force. It is a force of nature, I think the force of nature. And I have energetic boundaries because I know
mhm,
what love is, because I love myself. And that's another thing I work with people in a lot
mhm,
is self-love, pouring love into yourself, nourishing yourself, because then you don't people please and drain yourself. Then you have access to who you really are
yeah.
because you just start, you don't have that not enoughness or that imposter syndrome because you just feel
Mhm,
so much love that you've poured into yourself and you don't do that outside searching like you talked about, Julia, that so many people do.
mhm,
Gambling, addictions to this and that,
mhm,
workaholic, online scrolling, like doom scrolling. There's so much of that because we're looking or being in relationships where, we're trying to find love from everywhere else. But when
Food.
you find it, what did you say, dude?
Food.
Food.
Oh, food. I thought you were like,
Julia's
food for sure.
Julia comes from an Italian family, so it's
Manja,
amplified.
manja.
Fine.
But yeah, so that is the underlying intention. And I know that we can set our attentions ahead of time. Whatever your gifts are, if you make a conscious choice that I will show up as this,
Mm,
even when, especially when it's difficult to do so,
Mm.
then that is you embodying your gift or gifts in this world. And so for me, everything that I do, it takes a lot of courage. And I just want to speak to that because love takes a lot of courage. It
yeah.
takes
Oh
courage,
yeah.
like you spoke to, Nathaniel, to speak about it in the business world. And I remember when I started doing that, and it was like, yikes. I mean, people are going to think this is really strange, but I don't care anymore. I've
Mm,
come to the point where I've seen how beautiful it is and that it gets reflected back to me and how many lives I can impact even just an Uber driver or someone in a store
yeah.
or someone came to pick something up yesterday from me that I'm selling because I'm leaving going on a trip for many months overseas. She picked up a suitcase and she was here for 2 minutes and she ended up giving me the biggest hug
Mm, that's
because I
beautiful.
just was like so with her. And you're right, that presence and that love, it's a choice.
Mm,
Yeah.
It's
so
Yes.
a
powerful.
choice.
I love that. And
So simple and so powerful. And the most powerful things are so
I feel like
simple.
that's the paradigm shift that's happening too, though, because you chose to step into this path for yourself, and like
Mhm.
you speak about courage and all this, and it absolutely does take that. But the intention setting as well, I feel like the importance of leadership is so critical because a lot of us the dreams and the hopes and the desires from when they were little children has been beaten out of them, so
Yes.
they don't remember that they have the power to align and attain those dreams. So this is what Light Heart Vision is all about, and especially the vision aspect, because when I was thinking about
Love
my
it.
life purpose, I was like, I don't know where it is or where do I find it or how do I remember it? But no, I have the power to choose it, to create it right here, right now. Okay, next step. What do I want to create? So getting the
Right.
clarity, like how do you set
Exactly.
an intention if you don't know what you want, right? So this is so key.
This is one of the things that I'm up to too. Is one of my highest gifts is to have someone in my presence and hold sacred space for them and have them. I've done this with countless people now, just clients and groups and meditation groups and things like that. And then reflect back to them what they're sharing with me and say, like, is this what you really are and what you really want? And they'll just be, oh, yeah, that's what my heart wants. That's my purpose. And that you can just see them light up. And that makes me light up is to see people remembering their heart's dreams. And I speak about this a
Yes.
lot on my podcast because it's always in there. It might be a tiny little voice, but
Mm,
it's always calling to you.
wow.
Always. This is so gorgeous. I'm so grateful. Thank you both so much.
Well, I mean, this is a perfect time to ask you. So, so for those listening, how can people find you, Shauna, and how can they connect with you? I'm sure you have many ways of that, but what are
I
the,
do.
yeah.
I do. So as much as I'm up to a lot of things, and I actually have several courses about mastery of our emotions and integration, a lot of things that I'm creating. But right now, I would say the most immediate two would be my YouTube channel because my podcast is on there and many other videos about awakening and embodiment and purpose and just inspiration and encouragement. So just my name on my YouTube channel, and you can put it in the show notes, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And then just the other tiny thing, but also as a way that I show up in the world with love is I have these this little audio notes every day that I send out called love notes.
Mhm.
And right now it's on Telegram. And I love sending out loving messages and it helps us feel connected. And now I've been doing it for almost 3 years. So December 1st, it'll be 3 years every single day, even the day my dad died. Like there has
Wow,
been nothing that will stop me from having that anchor in my day. And because I chose that I'm going to do this and I'm going to share love every day because that's what I said I would do. I do it every day. And so I would love for millions of people to be in there so that I can
that's
just share
amazing.
more.
So beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, that's what the world needs right now, Shauna. You got that.
Yeah. Well, I adore what you two are up to, and I feel like I've just barely started learning about it. So I look forward to hearing more. And when I am back in studio, which I'm not right now, I would love to have the two of you on my podcast if you're
Oh,
open. I
that's
just
wonderful.
assume
Thank
you
you for the
are.
invitation. Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
Love
Yeah.
to be
Because
there.
you're clearly leading with love, which is the name of my podcast, and you'll see it on the YouTube channel. And
We're
I
doing our
mean, this is
best.
yeah, this is what we're here for.
Maybe we can have a sneak a cameo appearance for from our daughter Luciana, because she is definitely leading with love everywhere she goes. Her heart's there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And
How incredible.
her name means light, actually, right? So
Right, of course
that's
it
the
does.
yeah, that's really our continuing embers and spark of light. Our
Mm,
vision is
mm.
like I'll just actually bring this in too, because you mentioned we're all magic, and our languages around it is very similar. We're
Yeah.
all miracles, and I would say for years I would tell people like we're all trillionaires. We're trillions of cells walking around like miraculously. We
We're
don't even
so
realize.
abundant. It's
We're
ridiculous.
oh, I know. But I got to tell you, Shauna, like Julia did such an amazing job as preparing for a natural home birth, no medication, no nothing. And I had the privilege of receiving Luciana and catching her. And because of that, all that beautiful work that Julia did, she was so present. She just looked in my eyes. The first moment she's there,
Ooh.
she looked in my eyes. She knew right where I was. She was so full of presence and life. And then in the next moment, she just turned and looked right in Julia's eyes. She was like aware of where she was in the room, and just and to me, that was my first true visceral experience of how we truly are miracles because I witnessed
Ooh.
it, I held it, and for now, I mean, it's 20 months going strong, and I just reflect all the time of how we all come from that. This is not
Yes.
special to our daughter. Like we are all the embodiment of miracles, and we are in the time of great remembrance. So thank you for your
Mm.
service. Thanks for being who you are.
Thanks for sharing your
Yeah.
light, your truth,
Amazing.
your leadership with us, with our audience, with the world.
Thank you
Yeah.
both. Right back. I'm so grateful. That was a beautiful story. These children are coming in remembering and not forgetting. What does that mean for our world?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
Whew. Thank you for being
Fireworks.
conscious parents. Yeah, exactly. Supernova, the most whew, so beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
just thank you for
you.
being conscious parents and just beautiful souls and stepping into your purposes. I'm just
Miigwech.
profoundly grateful our paths have crossed, and I
Yeah.
look forward to
Us
This
more.
as
is
well.
just the beginning. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
so
Yes.
grateful to keep shining your light, Shauna. And for everyone who's listening, you can find all of your links, Shauna, in our show notes that I'll be posting
Yep.
shortly. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Much
Much
love.
gratitude. Much love
All
back to
right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Blessings.